I watched Silence of the Lambs. A wonderful movie. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I mean, wonderful. I mean, it was a good movie. It was a quality movie. It wasn't a wonderful movie. That movie was, I hadn't seen it in a while. I didn't realize how many disgusting scenes there were. But the character in that was trans. Buffalo Bill was trans. If you haven't seen it, sorry, I'm spoiling it. He was a trans character. And there was a scene I'm going to show, a quick part of a scene that I was like, what is that? And I thought it was interesting because it reflects a lot of kind of what we're seeing now with these people. Isn't it so funny that so long a lot of the shooters were like white supremacist manifesto people, and then now we're getting a bunch of trans shooters? Isn't that so interesting how that's happening? Where's all the white supremacists? Why aren't they shooting up people anymore? I think there's going to be a lot more of these trans shootings in the future. I think there's going to be a lot more. I think this is the administration is going to, because they just want the justification to be able to take gun rights away. That's to remove power from us, basically, is what they want. One of the things that Curtis Yarvin said is that one of the main thing that the dark elves fear is the hobbits rising up. Alex Karp, I think, said the same thing too. One of his biggest fears, I think he even said he had a dream or a nightmare about it, about white men throwing him out of a building or something like that. Listen, that's crazy, man. We would never. But I'm just saying that it's interesting that that's a fear in their minds. And then you see, okay, what are the tactics they're employing to protect themselves against this irrational fear they have? Yeah, and one of the things is that that's the Sonnenred. That is Nazi occultism symbol right there. That is not, so it's a weird, they got Russian, they got the Nazi, they don't like Donald Trump, they're trans. It's like, pick a lane, bro. Like, what's up? Are you a leftist, or are you, like, what's going on here? Anyways, I kind of waited to talk about this because A, Labor Day, and B, there's just a lot of people saying all kinds of shit, right? As soon as this happened, all the usual suspects were coming out of the woodwork to talk about trans, how sick they are and how insane freaks. They're freaks, and we need to. And it's like, okay, man, like they are freaks, but we should have compassion because a lot of freaks are spiritually unwell. And their noose is completely darkened, and they are reaching. They're reaching for any semblance of a meaning and any referent that they can draw from that's actually giving them purpose. So, Annunciation Catholic school shooter thought they were dying of lung cancer, vaping on and then you got this. This is racist, right? This is racist. 666. It's satanic, right? And I want to do a deep dive on this, but I haven't yet. Is the 09A 764 Terrorgram Discord group, which I think one or at least one, but I think there was two other trans shooters who were part of this group, which people suspect is a CIA honeypot that is used to lure people in and push them over the edge to do something like this. Because all these people are in Discord servers. They're online. They're talking to randos who you don't really know who you're interacting with. Even a face on a screen, you don't really know what's going on with them. They might appear a certain way. They might talk a certain way. They might provide you certain advice or say certain things to you, but they're not necessarily your friend. And I think you really have to, if you're on the online sphere a lot and you're interacting with people, you have to walk around and be on your guard always, because the CIA has absolutely infiltrated the vast majority of the internet, and they even admitted it on X. But anyways, basically the point I'm trying to make is that there was no coherency to this person's worldview. That they drew upon racism, they drew upon being anti-Trump, but they're trans, but looks like they're pro-Palestine. There's where's the coherency here? They're satanic. I mean, I guess you could say the coherency is that. I mean, it's Satan. Is that all these things are, if you want to put them on a map somewhere, it's like they're not Christian, right? That's maybe the underlying commonality. Right there. You see that? What is that? So this guy, Buffalo Bill, if you haven't seen the movie, Buffalo Bill is like a transgender man. he's basically transgender. He's kidnapping these women to skin them to wear their skin because he wants to put on makeup and dance and be a sexy girl. Which, if you know anything about Nazis, is that they burned books. And the books they burned were degenerate books. And some of them were trans books, about textbooks about trans. So how does this fit? How does being a Nazi, having Nazi swastikas, comport with being trans? It doesn't at all. And just like with the shooter in Minnesota, there's no coherency to this person's worldview. There's no grounding for like how to operate in the world, like how do I interact with my fellow man? Because we don't have that, right? People don't have that anymore. They don't have the church. They don't have Christianity. They don't have Jesus Christ. They don't have a referent for truth. The referent for truth is found in the world, is found in the mass, and ultimately is found online in Discord servers and on X. And when you kind of approach things, if you have a complete coherent worldview, everything fits together like a puzzle piece. You know why you're doing this, and you know why that person, you should treat that person this way. You know why you should give. You know why you should be married, have children, whatever. Like operate in the world. From Christian worldview, you know why these things are laid out in a puzzle, right? And they fit together, and they've been accurately kind of described to us through the church. But these people, without a referent for truth, without a worldview that's coherent and makes sense, you literally are just grabbing at whatever you see on a day-to-day basis. It's ultimately tied to your emotions. And your emotions are fickle and they can change. Especially with the internet, they can change your emotion. They can propagandize you to feel whatever you want about whatever. These people are master manipulators, right? So when you're confronted with new information on something, you'll say, oh yeah, I think this way about Palestine. But you're confronted with new information on the internet, well, wait, that doesn't feel right. So then you have to change it. You have to alter it. And so you're constantly updating and changing your worldview, trying to fit the puzzle pieces in the grand worldview, the coherent worldview, trying to make it coherent. But none of these things make sense. Nazism and transgenderism do not mix, okay? But what happens is then it causes a clash in your mind where you go, wait, I feel this way about this thing and I feel this way about that thing, but they're opposites. And it starts to cause your brain to I think it causes people to malfunction spiritually, mentally. I think it's partially why these people go to transgenderism to begin with, because they're fluid, right? Their worldview is fluid. So why not their gender be fluid too? There's nothing holding them down. They're not grounded. They're not based. Their worldview doesn't make sense. And it's just a buffet. It's akin to capitalism. This is the capitalism mentality, is that you, the individual, can make the choice on what you feel and what you want. So then ultimately, the worldview is I'm picking and choosing at any given time what I want. But then you are confronted with a particular scenario that you hadn't thought of. Oh, how do I approach this? Well, let me see what the internet says. Let me see what my friend says. Let me see what my Discord is saying. Oh, that's how I should believe in it? Okay. And then you tack that on with something else, and the pieces don't mix. The pieces don't match. And you go, I think it literally causes these people to have brain damage. Like it hurts them. So I don't know. It's one of the interesting things I thought about when it's like when you're talking about trans people, is just that there's nothing grounding them to reality, and that there is this kind of their identity is not even grounded in reality, that they don't even know who the fuck they are. Am I a man? Am I a woman? What the hell is it? And that they're always in this influx, right? Like nonstop, with just and the amount of information we have is just bombarding you nonstop. That I get it. Like I get it. Like if I didn't have some sort of reference for truth, like I just would be lost. You're literally fumbling around in the dark, walking around. And in every given scenario you're in, you just have to take a stab at it and say, I think that's what it is. It's like, whoa, that's scary. That's scary. That's scary to think that people operate like that. And a lot of people do. No wonder we're all fat and on drugs, and because it's just, I want to feel good. I want to feel good. And that's the whole basis of their worldview, is what makes me feel good in this moment. I'm not going to be charitable because that doesn't really make me feel good. I'm going to just do what I want to do. And then you interact with a billion different people who are acting like that, and it's exhausting for you. You're like, I don't want to talk to these people because they're all on their own bullshit and they all want to do what they want to do. And it's just like, we don't have any this is why there is no community. And it does seem like you're talking to a lot of different, strangers all the time, is because nobody actually has a basis for what they believe in. And I can't go up to somebody and say, yes, I know you and I believe these core fundamental things. Yes. We might not be perfect, right? We're not applying them perfectly all the time. I think people should have grace when it comes to those things, but it's like we're not even on that level. We're on, like, you totally think it's justified to act the way you do, which is hedonistic and selfish, and you think that's fine. And I'm like, that's just, I don't agree with that. And we're past like grace. You're actually thinking you're justified in acting that way. The trans guy thinks he's justified in acting the way he is, because then you got to think, like, no coherent worldview means it's up to me to decipher the meaning of the world. And that's like the meaning crisis we're in, is that we have this problem, this like nationwide problem, because nobody knows how the fuck to act. And they all just leave it up to themselves, and they fill it with crap. They fill it with whatever. They fill it with the internet, which is pulling you in a billion different directions all the time, because these people want to sell you something. They want to sell you attention. They want to sell you their products. They want to sell you whatever. And that's their motivation for doing it. But then you, the consumer, you're being ripped apart. Not to mention also propaganda reasons and political reasons and that kind of stuff to make you feel a certain way about things and think a certain way about things. That's also happening, which is why it's so nefarious.